All right, it's Monday, so you know what that means. It's time for The Good, the Bad, and the Mandalorian. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
It's a me,
Dario!
Woohoo! Let's go!
Alright, so I had a kind of very, very busy weekend, mostly work, but I also had an opportunity to rewatch one of my favorite films. It's an oldie but a goodie. Well, it's not really an oldie, but I guess now it's almost 20 years old. I rewatched The Patriot with Mel Gibson, and god damn it, man, that's a great film. It's one of the best, to me, it's one of the best war epics of all time. Dude, my opinion of Mel Gibson has always been the same opinion that they have in South Park. Like, he might be insane, but the man knows plot development. The movie is really, really, really good. And now, it's really funny, going back to watching movies that I saw when I was younger, there's a lot of stuff that you missed. There's a lot of stuff that you didn't really understand. Like, I didn't really understand the consequences of politics and war and all that stuff. But it's honestly, it gives you a little bit more respect of the people who actually fought for the American Revolution, taking on what was then the largest and most powerful empire and military power in the world. Honestly, it's a great film. I love it. I highly recommend it. Mel Gibson's amazing in it. Heath Ledger is in it. It always throws me off when you see somebody who's dead now in a movie. It's really weird because you're like, oh man, he was so talented. But yeah, great movie. Oh, the villain also. It has one of my favorite villains in the villain is actually played by the same guy who plays Lucius Malfoy, Draco Malfoy's father in Harry Potter. That dude's evil, man. He's evil. It's great. It's a great movie all around. It was great seeing it again. But let me, before I get into The Mandalorian, let me just give you a quick reminder that you can listen to the podcast pretty much anywhere. You can find it on the iHeartRadio app, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Google Podcast, Podcast Addict, everywhere, man. I'm everywhere right now. Just type in Super Dario World. You'll find it right there. You can also follow me on Instagram at Dario of the Show or at Super Dario World. Also, you can like my Facebook page at Super Dario World. Easy to find. Any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me right there. And like I said before, I still haven't caught up and all that stuff, but I will. I always, it takes me a little bit, but I will. Anyway, so all right, that's good for that. So let's go ahead and break down Chapter 5 in The Good, the Bad, and the Mandalorian.
I like those odds.
Okay, so right off the bat, I have to say that this episode was way better than the previous episode 4, well, Chapter 4. But still, I don't think it was on par with the other ones. And let me go ahead and break it down for you. And as always, let's start off with the good. All right, so for starters, I like that we actually had a space battle here. It was short. It was very short-lived. But honestly, I was worried that because the problem here is that space battles are kind of expensive. You need to take a whole lot of editing and a whole lot of budget. So I honestly did not expect for a Star Wars TV show to have that many battles or for them to look good, but I was happy to see one. We had one. It was short. I had some issues with it, but I'll get into that more in the bad. I also liked Ming-Na Wen's character, the cavalry from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I enjoyed her character. I enjoyed that she brings a little bit of... She expands the universe, because apparently she introduces a part of the guild and an expert group of assassins and all that stuff, so I like that, and I like the tease at the end of, is she still alive? Is she not? Who the hell is that stranger that went up to her dead body? Or is she actually dead? So I enjoyed that stuff. I also enjoyed the return to Tatooine. I think this is the first time in any of the new Star Wars where we go to an old planet. I'm not 100% sure on that because I don't remember Solo that well. I remember Solo's story pretty much. I saw it once and I hated it, so I didn't go back to watching it again. But I think it's the first time, because I remember one of the chairman, I forget her name right now, but the chairman of Lucasfilms right now, I guess it is. Well, the person who's in charge of Star Wars mentioned once very proudly that yeah, every single planet they've gone to, it has been original planet. So that's she was trying to justify that. I'll go into it from the beginning. I think there was a lot of critique from The Force Awakens that it was just basically the same old style. It was exactly episode 4, just they changed around a few things, but it was the same story. And she was trying to justify it, saying that, no, every single thing that they've done, they've gone to new planets, these are all new characters, and all that stuff. I guess she didn't really understand that they were talking about it's the same, plot points overall. But whatever, doesn't really matter. Here, they return to Tatooine. A part of me, honestly, I did not expect to see Tatooine ever again, but they went back, and so that's cool because it means that there's opportunities to see more things from the Star Wars past, which is what fans love. They love all the old characters, they love all the old stuff, they love all the old worlds. So it'd be cool through The Mandalorian to get to see a little bit more of, well, what actually happened. The problem with the new trilogies is that they just left all the old stuff behind. They left Luke behind, but by a lot. They left Leia they left Han behind. It's like, dude, how about if you don't get that they made the franchise, right? You don't get it. So we would like to see what happened to them. And if The Mandalorian takes place between episode 6 and episode 7, then we get to see what happened to the galaxy in that time. That'd be cool. Honestly, I'm really interested to know what the hell happened there, because the New Order, as far as I know, the First Order, just came out of nowhere, and it hasn't been explained yet. It's just one of those things like, oh, well, it's there. How the hell did it get there? So, if The Mandalorian gives us a little bit of backstory, or at least brings us back to the things that we like, I'm good on that. I'm a fan. So, good on that. So, that was the good. Let's move on to the bad. So, I know I just mentioned this as a good thing, but they kind of messed it up. All right, I was talking about the space battle. I mentioned it's a good thing that they actually had a space battle. We get to see a little bit of the Mandalorian's abilities as a pilot. I did not expect him to be like a good pilot, because not everybody has the best skills and everything. Not everybody can be a Mary Sue like Rey. But it was cool to see him in action, actually see him, struggle there, because it looked like the other guy had him. My issue here is they perform what I like to call the Top Gun maneuver, which is basically hit the brakes, and they have to dodge you, and then they're in front of you, and you shoot them, right? But here's the thing. There are no brakes in space! That is not a thing, okay? You can't just stop your ship like that in space, all right? There's no resistance. On the real world here, our airplanes, they can do that because there's such a thing called wind resistance, all right? So there's actual atoms. Even though it looks like there's nothing in the sky, there's atoms of oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen. There's a bunch of atoms in the atmosphere, and that causes resistance, and they have to stop. In space, there's nothing. There's nothing to stop their inertia. And so you can't just hit the brakes in space. That's not a thing that happens. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that it had some kind of because it would need to be a super powerful counter force. It's not fire, because you can't do fire in space, and it's not a jet engine. But whatever type of machinery they used, they had a counter for it that would allow it to slow a bit. But yeah, that's not how that works. But I'll assume that they have the space tech to do it. I'll assume it, so I'll forgive that. The thing that I really didn't get, besides the brakes in space or the Top Gun maneuver, is if you're a bounty hunter, how the hell are you just going to shoot up another ship in space? You need to confirm that your target is in there. You need to confirm the kill, and you need to confirm that he was actually there. If you just blow up, did he even see that the baby Yoda was in there? I don't think so. Unless, and again, this is me doing mental gymnastics to try to justify it. Let's assume that he caught up to them on the last planet that they were on, saw the Mandalorian putting the baby Yoda in there, or going into the ship with the baby Yoda in there, and this dude knows, I'm a better pilot than I am a fighter, so I'll fight him in the air, and so he just followed them, and then in space they had their little fight. That's me trying to justify it. It's still stupid, because you need to confirm with the people who hired you that you killed it. And I don't know how the hell through all that rubble in space you're going to find a tiny little burnt baby, but all right, it's the only way that I could find an explanation for it. Then the thing starts leaking fuel, and so they have to stop in Tatooine, right? This whole fuel thing drives me nuts, honestly, because I don't remember in any of the original Star Wars anybody talking about fuel at all. I thought they used power cores, or you'd think they at least used something close to nuclear energy. but fine, I guess. I don't even remember a ship being plugged in to get fuel injected into it. It's weird. This is a new thing that started, I think, with The Last Jedi. But all right, whatever. Fuel's leaking, and so I can't even figure out in what part of the ship you'd put a fuel tank. It's weird, but it's okay. Let's assume that one actually has fuel, and so they stop in Tatooine to get repairs, and he meets this character, the Afro character that everybody's saying is Sky from the show, which I kind of agree. And the dude can't pay for it, so he goes to the Mos Eisley Cantina to try to get money, right? But try to get a job. Now, there's actually something pretty interesting there, but I'll save that for The Mandalorian, a little fun fact of what happened there. But he goes to the cantina. He can't find a job as a bounty hunter. He asks for anything else, and then there's another bounty hunter there offering him to join in on his loot, right? That whole conversation, and this is something that I've had issue with in the last episodes, is that The Mandalorian talked way too much. I think that you could have had that exact same conversation with that guy and The Mandalorian just not talking, and it would have been great. If you made the new bounty hunter guy, I think his name is Toro or something, Toro Calican. Yep, Toro Calican. If you would have had that guy talking a lot, like imagine like a Ryan Reynolds type character who just doesn't shut up, and the Mandalorian just quietly there trying to use silence to make him uncomfortable or get more information from him, which is a solid tactic. It's a solid technique when you're doing interviews for somebody, just silence. People feel the need to fill in that silence, so it would have been great, just the Mandalorian not saying anything, and that guy just talking his ear off, one annoying the other, one with the silence, one with the talking. It would have been, honestly, I think it would have been better. But whatever, they talked a lot, and in the end, one convinces the other to help him to get a bounty. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing. I just would have done it very differently. Like I said, Mando not really talking, saying like, all right, basically just standing up and leaving, and the guy kind of just telling him like, dude, it's my first job, and they assigned me an expert assassin. Please help me out. I'll give you the whole bounty. I just want to be in the guild. I think that would have played out way better instead of just this dude who apparently doesn't care about money, but then we see him care about money. It's really weird. Like, he literally said, I don't care about the money, I don't care about money, and in the end, we see him have a lot of money. But when it comes to him giving up his new freaking binoculars, it's like, but they were brand new, so he cares about money. I don't fucking get this guy. So, minor mistakes there. I kind of would have made it slightly different the way, like I told you, like him asking for, like he knows he is out of his league. This bounty hunter, Toro, knows that the assignment that he got is insane for his first job, and so he's basically kind of begging for help. Like, dude, you seem like a badass. Please help me. I just want to get in. I just want to get my foot in the door. Take all the money. Just please help me out. I could understand that better, and I think it would have been better played, but whatever. They don't pay me for this. Well, they don't pay me to write their stuff, so whatever. Anyway, so they move on, and they're in the desert, and they have these motorcycles, and speeders. I'm sorry. They're speeders, and they're going through the desert, and for some reason, they end up in Tusken Raider territory. Now, I understand having to pay passage to go somewhere, but I don't understand why or where the hell the Tusken Raiders came from. Like, legitimately, they just came out of nowhere. The dude was looking with his binoculars, and then he turns to his left, and they were there. Like, we saw that. We saw that. Where the hell did these dudes come from? And the Mandalorian saw them the whole time. Like, honestly, if they would have made it like they came out of the sand or something, or like a sneak attack or something, all right, I would have been a little bit better. Just put a little bit of sand on them. So it's like, oh, all right, they popped out of the sand. It's what they do. They're sneaky. They set up traps. So it's like, all right, you have those dudes off in the distance. So when people stop to check out to see like, oh, what else over there? They pop out of the sand. All right, I would have gotten it a little bit more. Still was pretty weird. Anyway, so another thing afterwards, they keep on going with the speeders, and they enter the area kind of what's the name of the sniper chick? They're trying to catch. God damn it. Fennec. All right, they're after Fennec, the cavalry. So they reach this area, and it's kind of a trap, right? The chick has a giant. What's the name of these things? I don't forget, but she basically has another bounty hunter there as bait. and she shoots at Mando, hits him. Fortunately, dude has Beskar and manages to get back to cover, right? Here, Mando specifically says that the reason why she was not able, that the Beskar held up was because she shot him from so far away. That's a line that he says. The Beskar held up at this distance. That's a line. Now, snipers are kind of interesting, and I think in the real world, the further away you are, the harder it hits. It has something to do with the momentum force and all that stuff. Don't quote me on that. I've never been a gun guy, but I think that's how that works. That's the reason why if you get shot, it's better to be shot point blank than it is to be shot from a few feet apart. I don't understand it. I'm not an expert on it, but I think that's how it works. So I think that the further away you are, the harder it should have been the hit. But let's assume that these are laser blasters, so maybe it loses a little bit in the distance. Let's just assume that. All right. Dude specifically says it held up at this distance, and then afterwards they right into her, and she shoots her from a very, very close distance for a sniper, and dude still survives. Like, what the hell is going on? Why would you? Well, how stupid do you think we are? You just fucking said it. You just fucking said the Beskar held up at this distance. And what that means is that if she shoots us and I'm closer, it'll hurt me. It'll kill me. And it was just it's stupid. It's stupid. It's a stupid thing that happened. But whatever. They come up with this very reasonable plan of waiting until it's dark to move, because I mean she can't see them if it's dark. But however, you're going to be riding speeders in the dark, so you can't see either, idiots. But let's assume that the moon is very bright in Tatooine. Let's assume that he knew that it's going to be a full moon. I don't even know if Tatooine has moons. I don't think they do. But let's assume that the stars are really bright because, no pollution and, no cloud cover that day. So let's assume that he knew it was going to be a bright night. Let's assume that. They speed off right into her, and they use flash grenades pretty much to blind her, which is a solid strategy. A flashbang, honestly, should blind you for more than a few seconds. It should blind you for a good minute at least. Any of you ever just turn on it's dark and just turn on the lights in the room and you're confused and disoriented, you can't see? Imagine that times 100. It should have been enough for their plan to work, but I get it. You have to make it a little bit more exciting. So fine, acceptable, tolerable, forgivable, because they wanted to add a little bit more action. It's fine. The thing that I didn't understand is why she didn't move, right? I mean, here's the thing about snipers, and again, not a sniper, but from what I know about movies and video games and books that I've read, snipers don't stay in the same spot. They tend to move. Unless they do one shot and then they move, because otherwise they know where you are and they can find you. So I think that's how that works. So why she wouldn't move to get an angle? This whole thing, and they did it in The Last Jedi. This whole thing of just, let's give our enemy time to plan something is stupid. It's the dumbest thing you could do. If you have an enemy on the ropes, you take them out. You take them out. You don't give them a chance to plan something. You don't give them time to recover. You take them out. So why this chick would not just move to a different even if that's the best position she could have been in, you move. You get them from an angle and you kill them because they're there to get you. Anyway, for putting that stupid strategy aside, they chase after her, and for some reason, the dude manages to sneak up on her while she's aiming at the Mandalorian. So dude moves super fast. I'll give this to Toro Calican. Dude moves super fast because they covered that distance. Not only did they cover the desert, he actually managed to climb up that little mountain hill thing, that rock formation there really quickly, and sneaked up on her, even though she knew that there was a guy coming in after her. So why she wasn't aiming at him, I don't know. I mean, you just shot the Mandalorian. Why wouldn't you just get your gun ready for the guy who you know is going to come after you? Anyway, stupid. But let's move past that. Let's say the Mandalorian dodged a few times. Why didn't he dodge, by the way? Like, why was he just standing there? Duck, zigzag, run, do something. Do something. Don't just take the shot that you said you wouldn't be able to take. But whatever. Let's move on from that. Now, the chick was there for I don't know how long, but she didn't have any sort of camp. She didn't have any sort of, I don't know, cover, or like she had a helmet, but I'm guessing it's pretty hot in Tatooine because it's a desert. She didn't even have like a blanket on or something because in the night it gets pretty cold, or something to cover from the sun. Nothing. She didn't even have like something to lay on. Like it must. If she was there all day, that must have been super uncomfortable. Also, where was all her kit and stuff? She should have had stuff there. Like all production design people, think of these things. If that's her base or whatever, or she should have had gear. You don't just walk into the desert with nothing. Even the Mandalorian walked in with his little backpack of stuff and speeder. Anyway, so I don't understand. Then afterwards, they capture the chick, and the Mandalorian decides, all right, we need to get another ride, and he goes off to try to get a ride, right? Now, why he didn't take the speeder to get that ride, I don't really understand. But all right, okay, it's a thing, I guess. And then you get this conversation between Toro and and Fennec, right? Where Fennec is basically trying to convince Toro to betray the Mandalorian and that they could turn in the bounty on him. Now, by the way, Fennec is a super informed chick for a girl who's been hiding out on a planet trying to lay low. So she's and apparently that has no real guild connections in the planet. So super well informed. Kudos for her. She knows a lot. And she speculates pretty well. And as she's trying to convince Toro, the thing that convinced Toro really didn't make any sense. She's trying to convince him with glory and all that stuff, and the glory of catching. Pretty much, they would make him a legend to catch the Mandalorian and then return the kid or something. That's. I can understand how that could be seductive, but it's still a stupid strategy. I mean, he has a win. He legit has a win. He already has this chick who is an elite assassin, by the way. He caught her. He could make his bones with her right there. But if he wanted an even bigger glory, he could knock her out, put her on the freaking speeder, go back, take Baby Yoda, and take that from him. So he could have had a double win. So he outplayed the Mandalorian, got back Baby Yoda, who he figured out that pretty much that's probably the package, or that was the asset, and taken an elite assassin in. Dude, that's a double whammy right there. But no, apparently for him, it's a better idea to kill Fennec and try and take on the Mandalorian. You know, the dude he saw as a badass, he decided it's a good idea, and he picked him specifically to help him because he looked like a badass and like he could handle himself, and throughout this whole thing proved that he could handle himself. He's like, you know what? I'm going to try to outduel this guy. Like, his strategy was beyond stupid. Beyond fucking stupid. But all right, he does that. He kills Fennec for some stupid reason, goes back, gets Baby Yoda, and everybody's like, oh shit. Like, honestly, he should have just taken him. It's very stressful because he had the win, and he went for it all, right? He wanted to go for the win on top of the win on top of the win, but whatever. They have this little conversation, and this is something that stresses me with Baby Yoda. They just had him there, like a prop, like, oh yeah, I have him here. This is the danger. No, dude, make him squeal or something. Make him cry. Like, actually up the tension in that conversation. Like, it would have been super tense if Baby Yoda's actually crying. It would have been a little bit more desperate. That scene was just way too quiet, and it was unnecessary. So, in the end, it was better than the last episode, but still, there's a lot of ridiculousness going on in this show. I'm hoping it gets back to episode 1 or episode 2, where it's a little bit more reasonable. It used to be a little bit more reasonable. Overall, it's not bad. Like I said, the show is not bad. It just has a few ridiculous things and needs to get back in order. Just forget about the ridiculous stuff. Stop saying one thing and then literally doing showing us the exact same opposite a few minutes later. Like, the Beskar thing is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, that's it for the bad. So let's move on to The Mandalorian. All right, so fun fact for those of you who don't know, I have been recently reading the Star Wars novel, The Heir to the Empire. This one was written by Timothy Zahn. I talked about him a lot. Got to meet him at Comic-Con. Great guy. He used the phrase, he used the words military strategy, and I was like, all right, you got me. I'm going to read your books. And so in his novels, they actually talk about a little bit about what happened to Tatooine. Now, for those of you who remember in episode 6, the Tatooine, pretty much the crime syndicate was the Hutts. The Hutts controlled pretty much everything there. Now, there's multiple crime syndicates, but that was the home base of the Hutts. In episode 6, Jabba the Hutt gets killed by Princess Leia, and that left a void in the underworld, let's say. So that made a lot of people, for some reason, took that opportunity to try to take over that criminal enterprise. Some of them worked, some of them didn't, but in the end, it was decided that Tatooine kind of, you know what, not for us anymore. They decided to leave, right? They decided to leave that spot, and other players started taking over the crime syndicates. Now, one of the leaders of this syndicate is a character named Talon Karrde. Talon Karrde is a very interesting dude, and he's one of the reasons why Tatooine stopped being the center of the smuggling rings, per se. Because he's not as hardcore as the Hutts were, but he's still like a criminal. He's a criminal leader. And this dude is actually very heavily involved in the Galactic Civil War. Afterwards, he gets involved with Luke Skywalker at one point. Dude's actually pretty interesting character, and the reason why he moved the base from Tatooine is that he wanted to move to a planet that a lot of people didn't really know. He's a very secretive dude, which if you're going to be a criminal, I think is very important. You don't want to be the most famous smuggler in the galaxy, because that makes it harder to smuggle stuff. But so this guy tried to keep things secret, keep things quiet, and eventually started growing and taking control of the whole operation, all of the whole void that was left by the Hutts. So, yeah, interesting dude. Again, Heir to the Empire, really good, really great story. It fills the void between episode 6 and episode 7 in such a better way. Again, you get to follow Luke, Leia, Han, what they did afterwards, how the Republic was trying to be formed or reformed, how the Empire refused to die. Amazing story. To me, it's been far better than the movies, and I'm really hoping that the Mandalorian eventually at one point brings up the whole. Well, I mean, it's a war now. They have to battle for control. The crime syndicates have to battle for control. So if they show that would be great. If they show Talon Karrde, that'd be great. So if at any point in the Mandalorian you see a character named Talon Karrde, now you know where he's from. So that's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed that. As always, again, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show or at Super Dario World on Instagram. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.